Welcome to the Family Bible Journey. If you're interested in seeing how the journaling that we mention in the podcast works, check out our website at familybiblejourney.com or look for us on Facebook and Instagram. Thanks for listening. This is episode 435, season 1 of the Family Bible Journey Old Testament podcast. Today we're looking at Ecclesiastes chapter 6. The title of today's podcast is Better Off Never Born? And our key verses for today, the entirety of Ecclesiastes 6, where we read, There is an evil that I have seen under the sun, and it lies heavy on mankind. A man to whom God gives wealth, possessions, and honor, so that he lacks nothing of all that he desires. Yet God does not give him power to enjoy them, but a stranger enjoys them. This is vanity. It is a grievous evil. If a man fathers 100 children, and lives many years, so that the days of his years are many, but his soul is not satisfied with life's good things, and he also has no burial, I say that a stillborn child is better off than he. For it comes in vanity and goes to darkness, and in darkness its name is covered. Moreover, it has not seen the sun or known anything, yet it finds its rest rather than he. Even though he should live 1,000 years twice over, yet enjoy no good. Do not all go to the one place? All the toil of man is for his mouth, yet his appetite is not satisfied. For what advantage has the wise man over the fool? And what does the poor man have who knows how to conduct himself before the living? Better is the sight of the eyes than the wandering of the appetite. This also is vanity and a striving after wind. Whatever has come to be has already been named, and it is known what man is, and that he is not able to dispute with one stronger than he. The more words, the more vanity. And what is the advantage to man? For who knows what is good for man while he lives the few days of his vain life, which passes like a shadow? For who can tell a man what will be after him under the sun? This is the word of the Lord. And so this is a relatively depressing chapter of the Bible. And to think that Solomon, this is again old King Solomon, to think that old King Solomon, in all of his wisdom, with all of his fame, with all of his riches, with his 300 wives and 700 concubines, that he wasn't satisfied with all that he had. And when Solomon here tells us about the vanity of life, that a child that is never born is better off than one who lives his life pursuing greedy gain, because it is all vanity, it is all a waste, in a sense, it is all a lie. Solomon is preaching to us as one who, even though he was the richest man alive, even though he was the wisest and the most powerful and the most influential, and even though his bevy of wives and concubines and all of their beauty and all of his sensual pleasures that he got to enjoy amounted to nothing in the end, because Solomon had, unfortunately, bought into many of the lies that this world is still selling to us today. He sought satisfaction in carnal pleasures. He sought fulfillment in great building projects, and he worked hard, and he labored for it tremendously. But at the end of his life, he, in an aging body, looking at his sons and daughters who after his time were going to enjoy everything that he had worked so hard for, and as the Bible tells the story, would end up squandering everything that he had built and accumulated. Well, it's no wonder that King Solomon was depressed. But this depression is not because God had failed him or God had let him down. No, God had blessed Solomon above all of the others. But Solomon, when he failed to listen to the Lord's word, when he began to think in human pride that maybe he was smart enough that he could go ahead and do those things that God had told him he shouldn't do. When Solomon decided that it was okay for him to go and walk in his own way because he was so smart, he was so rich, he was so powerful, he was so influential, well then Solomon, the wisest man to ever live, proved to be a fool. And this is why Solomon is able to say, I believe with a clean conscience, that it's better that a man not even be born than deal with the struggles of this life. But these are self-inflicted wounds. Solomon has no one to blame but himself for this depression because he knew better than we do what was right and what was wrong, and he sought fulfillment. He sought satisfaction. He sought lasting value in the fleeting things of this life. And so we learn from Solomon's example as we hear this depressed old man preaching as not only the wisest man who had ever lived, but also as a fool who had put God to the test in many ways by taking foreign wives as his own, by worshiping foreign divinities, much to the chagrin of the God who had blessed him so richly and so tremendously. And we, as God's people, we do well to learn from Solomon's mistakes so that we wouldn't also play the fool, so that we wouldn't also go astray, so that we would learn from this ancient sage who lived nearly 3,000 years ago that the secret to a truly satisfying and fulfilling life is not to settle for the passing and fleeting pleasures that this world gives, but rather to find our fulfillment and satisfaction in knowing the one who has created us in love, who has redeemed us by his mercy and grace, to live our lives in the light of his love, and to look forward to the blessing of life eternal, and spend our earthly lives sharing these good and glorious riches with others, knowing that whatever this life throws at us, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it will redound to God's eternal glory and our eternal blessing in his presence. If you appreciate this podcast as a part of your daily routine and would like to become a monthly sponsor so that others are blessed as you are by the podcast, go to FamilyBibleJourney.com to learn more. Sponsorships are tax deductible and cover our operating expenses like hosting and the services that make this podcast work. Our blessing for today. May you find fulfillment and satisfaction pursuing the Lord and his purposes for you. Amen.